Final video on this motherfucker, and of course this one always has to be the longest, and thankfully I'm only gonna have a couple questions in this one. However, of course I do have to tell the YouTube to go fuck himself. So these are the questions I saved to the end because obviously they require some of the most detailed answers. So let's just dive into these final questions that I have. Next question from Mr. Final Prestige. You're a BioWare fan. What do you think about Manveer Hare, or Hire, I don't know how to pronounce his last fucking name, who is a developer at BioWare? He's a social justice warrior who often posts comments regarding minorities versus white people that angers a lot of people. The posts are called racist, while other SJWs back him up all the time. Do you think his posts are racist, and does BioWare have a responsibility as to what their employee posts? I know who that asshole is, although I don't know every stupid fucking post or thing he's ever said. I know of the shit that he says that leads him to being called an asshole, that's for sure. But here's the thing. The principle for what he's standing up for are noble things that I believe in. Equality, minority representation, women's rights. The problem is this dickhead doesn't understand that by trolling, being an asshole, and saying racist shit in return, that completely pisses over the points that he's trying to get across. You know, by trolling and being an asshole to white people, he's basically taking a combative position right off the bat. He's making people defensive immediately, as opposed to inviting them into an actual discussion about these topics. He thinks he's going to change people's minds by beating them over the head with some kind of point, by being an asshole. And since the beginning of time, when the fuck has that ever worked? If someone has a different view of life than you, and you belittle them, do you think they're just gonna magically agree with your opinion? Like, oh yeah, you called me an asshole, I should agree with you. No, of course not. You know, it's one thing to promote your cause in a reasonable way. It's one thing to invite discussion on the topic with people who don't understand that equal representation is something people want. But when you antagonize your opposition, of course, they're going to ignore you, and they're just gonna argue with you. Then turning around and saying white people are racist, white people are stupid, and trolling them in tweaks, do you really think any of that shit is gonna make it any better? As big of a dickhead as he is, the side of the argument he's on is correct. Minority representation in games is horrible, and it's been horrible for 30 fucking years now. Just look at all the male white leads in games that have happened since the beginning of fucking time. Mario, Link, Solid Snake, Cloud Strife, Nathan Drake, Marcus Fenix, Nathan Halo, Commander Shepard. I'm sure fucking the guy in the Halo damn suit, whatever the fuck his name is, Master Chief, he's probably a white motherfucker. Captain Price, Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy. Now, let's compare that with how many minorities are in the lead roles. Samus from Metroid is a woman, although we didn't actually know she was a woman until she took the fucking suit off at the end of the first game. Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, yes, I say Ninja Gaiden, not Gaiden motherfucker, and that's only because there's some kind of ninja shit. You have Bayonetta on the Nintendo series. For every woman or minority, you could probably name 10 to 20 male white leads in any game, easily. The only place where you see diversity is in the supporting class, like sidekicks, secondary characters, damsels in distress kind of shit. I mean, think about this. Princess Peach being saved, Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. You start seeing that diversity is somewhat lacking, but instead of creating an intellectual movement or a conversation about this, he just trolls and says that white people are ignorant or racist or oppressive. It pisses all over the argument you're trying to make before you even make it, motherfucker. And then on the flip side, there are people who defend him and stupidly say that minorities can't be racist. Bullshit. Racism is alive and well with anybody from any country with any skin tone. Black people can be racist to Asians. Hispanics can be racist to Middle Easterns or Muslims. What people are referring to is discrimination. That is a law that protects minorities, but that's not what's going on here. Manveer posts racist shit under the guise of a cause that should be common sense. His position is something I believe in, but the way he gets that position across makes him look like a fucking asshole. Now, as for BioWare not firing him and people deciding not to buy their games because of it, I don't see an issue with that. People have a right not to like this guy or purchase a game from the company he works for. I mean, shit, I don't buy Bethesda games because they treat PlayStation 4 customers like shit. I don't buy Treyarch games because they lie and treat people like shit. So if someone isn't buying a BioWare game because of Manveer, they have every right to make that stand. You know, BioWare obviously has their own rules, their own code of conduct that employees need to follow. We don't know what their policies are, especially their social media policies. However, I am shocked that at a minimum, someone from the legal department hasn't told this motherfucker to cut that shit out already. You know, most companies have social media policies nowadays because of shit like this. And one of the most common things legal departments will tell you is that if you represent the company, you can't do stupid shit on the internet. Don't use a professional account for personal shit, and vice versa. If you want to go be a social justice warrior, make a personal account, but don't mention the company. Do whatever the fuck you want, but don't include us on that shit. And if you do have us in your social media, then treat this like you would a work email and avoid personal shit. At least that's how I would run my company. But hey, look, BioWare wants to be a little different, and that's their prerogative. They do promote diversity and open-mindedness in their games. So this douche does share that part of their principles, but the racist shit is incredibly puzzling. But at the same time, you also have to put yourself in BioWare's shoes right now. If you fire this guy, do you not think this dickhead would sue? Do you not see a total lawsuit on the way because of this asshole? Of course he would fucking sue. He would go to court, play the victim, how he is a minority, and BioWare is firing a minority because they're racist. You can only imagine the headache this guy would cause. So that's why they probably haven't gotten rid of this guy. But at the very least, someone from the legal department should have smacked him upside the head and said, dude, shut the fuck up already. Next up, I have another 2 questions for people that obviously have paid attention to my channel for a very long time. Both of them picked up on something that I said, and they decided to run with that for that question. So, first one up, Hurley is the man wants to know, you joked about running for president one day, and based on your videos, you're obviously not a Trump fan. So if you were to run in 2020, how would you run against Trump, and how would you actually beat him? Second question came from Prince Zaki, and is pretty much a similar thing, except this one has a little bit more detail. The year is 2019, June 2019. The presidential candidates consist of Donald Trump, Kanye, Cory Booker, Mark Zuckerberg, and me. Trump's disapproval ratings are low as hell with the normal population, but his rednecks still support him to death. At this point, it's still a fair race, anyone can win. So what would be your strategy to A, win the primary, B, win the election, C, cabinet picks, D, plan for your first 100 days? I mean, shit, this motherfucker wants my whole plan for like my next 4 years or some shit. Now, obviously, I have joked about being president and how it would be a nice dictator, which is actually fucking comical how Trump is a president trying to be a dictator and ignores all kinds of precedents and traditions that other presidents have set. And he thinks he could just wave his hands and make law. That's not how the presidency works, motherfucker. Now, before I answer these questions, people have to understand something. In the United States, it's basically a 2-party system with Democrats and Republicans. All the other smaller parties, independent candidates, stand no chance of winning against those 2 parties. Me personally, I have always been independent because I don't believe in the 2-party system. I don't want to get off on a tangent and explain how my vision of how my government would work, because that's not the scope of the questions here. But ultimately, if I ran as an independent, I would never win. Because no matter how much you try to be a neutral person, no matter how you position yourself as a candidate who does not ascribe to either party, your views are going to be seen as falling in line with one party over the other. Chances are, my views would fall more in line with Democrats than Republicans. I mean, shit, over the past 10 fucking years, Republicans have basically pushed me towards not voting for them in any election. And with Trump in office, as long as he's in office, like I said before, I will not vote for a single Republican for allowing that piece of shit to take over the country the way he has. They had a chance to stop that shit even before it began, but because he took hardline choices against Democrats, they were fine with that fact because he was against their enemy. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. So they allowed him to run and they tolerated the bullshit, and this is the result that we have. Anyways, in order to beat him, first thing I would need to have to do, as much as I don't like it, register as a Democrat. Oh, thank fuck I don't have to do that shit, man. I'd have to pull a Bernie Sanders and only become a Democrat just for a chance to be president. Now, Prince Zaki asked about the primaries, and that alone would take a little bit while to explain, but ultimately, you have to figure that Mark Zuckerberg, who's the creator of Facebook, would most likely run as a Democrat, as I would have to do. Cory Booker's a registered Democrat. Kanye's a fucking douchebag. I mean, he won't get any votes regardless, man. I mean, he's hoping that black people will vote for him, but I will guarantee you, they wouldn't even be that crazy to put that piece of shit in the office over Cory Booker. So, attacking Mark Zuckerberg would pretty much be easy because Facebook is a low-hanging fruit. Since I don't have a Facebook account, there wouldn't be any kind of, aha, gotcha kind of moment where they could like tear my shit apart. No, I don't have this shit. I don't want the shit, and I will tear your shit apart. Dude is filthy rich and certainly as liberal as they come. But all I have to do is attack the money and compare him to Trump, who's a billionaire already in the office. Cory Booker, on the other hand, there's no way of beating him. Unless some kind of scandal pops up, realistically, I would lose. That's just the reality. No matter what I point out as an argument against him, I have no political experience. So the only defense I would have against him is to fling mud against his service. And how much dirt can I use against him since I actually need Democratic support afterwards? I couldn't eviscerate the guy on minor things and then turn around and ask for his supporters to vote for me. That shit ain't gonna happen. I know that I would lose the primary, and there's just not even a snowball's chance in hell of that actually happening. However, let's just progress with the topic. and say that I do pull off some miracle and people like my ideas over his, and for some reason, they choose to vote for me as a Democratic presidential candidate. With the presidential elections, you basically have to know how the numbers work. It's a numbers game. That's it. How do you win the Electoral College? The reality is the presidency depends on 10 states in the entire country. Out of 50 fucking states, 10 will decide who the president is. Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Virginia, Arizona. That's it. If you can win over these states, or at least the majority of these states, you become president. That's how Trump won. See, New York, California, Texas, Utah, Alabama, Hawaii, these are states that are always going to vote a certain way. You know New York is going to vote Democratic. Fuck yeah, I better win my home state. You know the rednecks will vote Republican. So there is almost no point in bothering trying to win Utah, or Alabama, or Arkansas. Focus on the 10 states. And since I don't have a political record, I can do exactly what Trump did. Attack the people that do. Attack the record of the person in charge. And since this motherfucker constantly lies, I already have a built-in campaign. Just show his repeated lie after lie after lie after lie. For example, when he said he approved the Keystone Pipeline and Dakota Access Line, he said he put in a clause that it had to be American steel. You know, this whole Buy American mantra. He didn't. He lied. He never put that into the contract since the steel was already there for both projects. Some of it from the US, but mainly from Canada and India being used for their steel. But he lied about that. He also claims Obama wiretapped him, yet there's absolutely no evidence. Claims voter fraud took place, but there's absolutely no evidence. Takes credit for companies keeping jobs in the U.S., such as Intel, Sprint, Ford, Exxon. Meanwhile, these companies had these plans before he was even the Republican candidate. Basically, lie after lie after lie. He said he was going to help the middle class with his tax cut plans. Yet what did he do? He ended up helping the wealthy, not the middle class. His daughter Ivanka's child care tax credit helps the wealthy, not the people who really need fucking child care. He put all his cronies in position of power. He put rich people in his cabinet. So clearly, he doesn't give two shits about the middle class. And those 10 states are middle class. Take every failure, every lie, every bullshit conspiracy theory and put them on display in those 10 states, and then show my cards. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a political crony who takes from people and returns favors. I don't give two fucks about politicians in office and would run on the idea that all politicians need to get the fuck out of office with term limits, no pension benefits, and the same health care that Americans are supposed to have. If you want to put us on Obamacare or the replacement for Obamacare, then you have to take the exact same fucking thing you're peddling towards everyone else. And since I have no political record to attack, what is he going to do? Create a funny name for me on the campaign trail? Use my YouTube channel against me? Yeah, motherfucker, good luck with that shit. I got the internet vote on lockdown on this motherfucker. Does he honestly think he would stand a chance against me in an actual debate? A knowledgeable debate, knowing the only thing he could do is lie? The amount of statistical retention I have would choke that motherfucker on the stats alone till his fucking hairpiece fell off. And I could use that in debate and basically throw each lie right back at him. To be fair, because obviously I don't like Trump, but any candidate that would have to debate against me would be in deep shit. I mean, Hillary, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Mitt Romney, Ted Cruz, oh god, another lying motherfucker. I would absolutely trounce every single one of them. Paul Ryan, fucking Obama. Motherfucker, you could take up the bodies of JFK and Ronald Reagan, put a stick up their ass and prop them on stage, and the amount of statistics that I can remember and fact check on the spot would make these motherfuckers shit a brick. And this dickhead Trump would just pull the same nonsense of lying, saying the media's biased against him. Oh, his favorite line, believe me. That's what he says after every time he fucking lies. He's like, oh, the sky is green, believe me. Now, as for the first 100 days and cabinet picks, I mean, we're talking minutia at this point, but I will say this. Part of what Trump did with his cabinet is sort of what I would do. Now, I wouldn't want too many career politicians in cabinet positions, aside from maybe the Secretary of State. I like the idea of business people in these positions. As much as I don't agree with anything that comes out of the mouth of Rex Tillerson, the logic behind his choice was actually smart. I would find a business person for cabinet positions. First 100 days would be unfucking a lot of the bullshit Trump put in place. You know, like removing financial restrictions that protect people. Basically, he allows 401k companies now to screw you the fuck over. Turning back all the environment protection laws he's going against, gag rules on abortions and shit like that. Pretty much everything he's doing, I would spend my first 100 days overturning. But essentially, now I'm actually getting amped up to run for president. You know what's the only thing holding me back? Really? That this shit is gonna cut into my gaming time. Come on, man, I can't be Commander-in-Chief and hit 10 prestige while running all my raids in Destiny and saving the galaxy in Mass Effect Andromeda, man. I gotta worry about shit like fucking Russia and China, Middle East, national debt, crime raids, crooked politicians, abortions, motherfucker, man. And the worst part is, I'd have to reveal my face in order to be president. I mean, I could try and keep that shit as top secret as possible, but we know at some point I would have to show off my fucking face, man. So this shit ain't for me, man. Fuck that. I don't want to run for president no more. We have come to the final questions that I'm going to answer during this question and answer session video. I'm so glad that I'm finally able to be back, and I'm glad you guys were able to send in all your questions this week. Hopefully you guys got to enjoy all the answers that I was able to give you in this motherfucker. But we have one last topic, and it's actually a question that comes from two separate people. First one, Shut It Down 12 wants to know, what did you think of the whole PewDiePie racist drama and how mainstream media covers him? And then the second question from AVX Gamer, you probably heard the whole PewDiePie thing against the Wall Street Journal, or knowing you probably ignored it. See, people know me well. However, other YouTubers like Phil DeFranco, Jenna Marbles, etc. are turning this into YouTube versus mainstream media fight. Mainstream media doesn't like YouTube, so they attack the highest subscribed people. Do you agree that the media is attacking YouTubers, or do you believe they're just whining about the media and not taking them seriously? Now, I'll be honest with you guys for a second. Initially, I was just going to say that I don't know anything about this. I don't give a fuck about these people, and I was just going to move on to the next topic. Because in all honesty, I hate talking about channels that I don't support, that I don't watch, and that I really don't give a flying fucking shit about. However, the background topic is something I do want to talk about because that's the shit that annoys the fuck out of me. But full disclosure first, I have not paid attention to this bullshit directly or have first-hand knowledge of any of this crap. My only information comes really from a third-party source, and it's really the aftermath of all this crap that happened. I basically read an article. So I will be the first to say I have not paid attention to this in full, and I have no intention of doing so. From what I understand, PewDiePie, that screeching bag of shit with 50 million subscribers, posted a video where he paid two poor Indian men to hold up a sign that said, "Death to Jews," as some sort of joke or a prank or whatever the fuck it is. The Wall Street Journal called him out on this. They wrote an article which led Disney and Google to pulling some promotions from him. Boo-hoo. Fucking guy's a millionaire. He only lost a little bit of money when it came to this. But otherwise, he's not going homeless over this shit. So, when that Howling Banshee made an apology video, it was 10% apology and 90% attacking the writer and Wall Street Journal, who pointed out that his video made him lose those partnerships. Again, I didn't watch the video. I don't care. I'm just going by what I read on my article. As opposed to accepting the responsibility for what he did, he went all scorched earth and blamed all those who reported him in his video. And other channels and friends of his have backed him up, turning this into mainstream media versus a YouTube narrative. That's my secondhand understanding, because frankly, this shit is so childish they could teach this crap to fucking third graders. Now again, I don't know the full details, nor do I want to know. But a third party with no vested interest is where I learned some of the details of the shit. And I have no interest in researching the shit myself because I just don't give a fuck. That's the reality. However, if all of this is true, it just reaffirms what I already think of that petulant child trapped in an adult's malnourished body. Now, if none of it's true, look, then he's still a channel I won't watch because his content only appeals to socially degenerate, intellectually simple-minded fucks, like children. Clearly, he posted that racist video and he apologized for it. And then he blamed it on being a rookie comedian, which is a really creative way of fucking describing yourself, because like most comedians will tell you, jokes are supposed to be funny. Jokes are supposed to have a delivery and a punchline. So when some rich white asshole posts a video asking poor Indian men to hold a sign that they couldn't even fucking read so that they could get a laugh about it, even the most offensive-minded people like me fail to see where the joke is. The reality is, he's not a rookie comedian. He's not a comedian at all. And all the people that push the boundaries of offensive humor, like, say, South Park, they've been carefully doing it for years, with an underlying social message to each one of their episodes. PewDiePie is not smart enough to create such humor, which is why his screeching cat and heat act appeals to little kids more than anything. But besides that, if you're going to apologize, then apologize. Don't fucking blame people who outed you. Don't bypass your culpability and pretend that people are out to get you because you're famous, because they wouldn't have needed to write a story in the first place if you didn't post the offensive video. Look, if you had common sense, something would have clicked and said, hey, maybe this is wrong. That didn't happen. So accept the responsibility, not just 10% of the responsibility and blame the other part on the media's coverage of the issue. Again, I don't know if all of this is true or not, But I wouldn't put it past this grown-up child to do something like this, because after all, how many times did this shit work as a kid? Think about that for a second. You do something wrong, you have a sibling tell your parents on you, and then what did you try to do in return? Well, he started it. She broke your mirror last week. He ripped the couch yesterday. Kids blame others for their mistakes. And how many fucking parents fell for that shit? Absolutely none of them. You know, when someone fucks up and then decides to deflect the blame, that's something kids do. Now, other channels are jumping up to defend him, and that's no surprise, mainly because they're either his friends, or they're working partners, or they do business with him, or in some cases, they just don't want to kick another YouTuber when he's down, because after all, seeing that he wants to turn his fan base against the media, against the Wall Street Journal, do you really think other YouTubers who share the same medium with him want to turn against his fan base? Of course not. So naturally, they're going to support him. They're going to make videos showing their support, showing their disdain for the media, because not only will his viewers come to their channel, but it maintains that camaraderie that these people sort of have with each other. And even if they didn't agree with him, let's say they know he fucked up, they absolutely don't like this asshole, do you think they're going to make a video and kick him while he's down? No, of course not. They're probably just going to do nothing and go about their business and ignore the subject as usual. But it's no surprise that Phil DeFranco supports him, because a good portion of his videos are basically cherry-picking what's in the news and making a video about it. And YouTube news is always the best news for his channel, because that's what he reports on and that's how he makes money. So jumping into the fray and defending his buddy and defending a channel he probably does business with makes sense for him. It's naturally going to happen if you want to defend your friend against somebody that you feel is attacking your buddy. But overall, the bigger picture that I have is the fact that Nazi Pie oh man, I know he's gonna hate that shit, but I don't give a fuck. And all the channels supporting him, they want to make it seem like mainstream media doesn't like YouTube. They want to paint the picture that the media is out to get them because they're scared of YouTube, because YouTube is taking away money from media, because YouTube is one day going to kill off media, and all these old farts just want to hold on to their old past power and whatnot. Bitch, please. That's like North Korea and all their fucked up missile launches and their starving, untrained army saying, oh, the US don't want this, man. Nah, we all beefed up in this motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here, man. That shit makes me laugh, because this is the absolute height of arrogance. This is the definition of self-inflated egos. I am so important, I am so powerful and so influential that only my mistakes are covered by the media because I scare them. They only take notice when I fuck up because I make them money. Again, let's shift responsibility of making a racist video to point out the flaws in the media. And the media certainly has their flaws. They're not making any mistakes about that shit. But let's ignore the fact that the overwhelming viewers of that garbage are kids. And the Wall Street Journal appeals to adults and parents. And guess what? They might want to know what their kids are watching. I mean, after all, YouTube is generally unfiltered for the most part. I don't think PewDiePie's channel is marked for adult content, so kids of all ages can watch that shit. And since parents can't fully control the internet, the least they can do is have an idea of the things their kids might see, so that they can't monitor them all the time. I'm sure there are plenty of parents out there who would want to know if their kids are seeing content that has an anti-Semitic message in it, because that's something you wouldn't want your children to see. YouTubers have this arrogant notion that the media only wants them to fuck up and only wants them to make mistakes and post about it, but they don't want to post all the other things they do. Here's the reality. The world is a big fucking place, with wars, corruption, violence, money, politics, and tons of other topics that affect adults around the world. They don't have time to cover a popular YouTube video of the day that's funny, that's informative, that's cool, whatever the fuck. PewDiePie pointed out that the only time the media covers him is to say he has 50 million subscribers. Well, what the fuck else are you known for? Did you stop world hunger? No. Have you cured diseases? Certainly not. You probably caused more brain cancer in people than a few with that garbage content. Media does not revolve around YouTube, and it never will. Do you see the media covering Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook posts? No. You know when they do? When people fuck up and do something stupid. They cover it when people do something newsworthy. Like an asshole posting something racist on Twitter. Like an idiot posting something on Facebook that's fucking offensive. That's when they cover things. Or they cover things like, this person found their parents on Facebook because they made a post. This person found their twin on LinkedIn just magically and happened to find it. That's what people cover in the media, man. To pretend the media is out to get you because you fucked up is the epitome of arrogance and ego, man. Now, let me just clarify one more point, because this is another place that YouTubers get this shit wrong. There's a difference between top-notch publications and a Joe Schmo website. There's a difference between New York Times and IGN. There's a difference between Wall Street Journal and Polygon, or whatever the fuck it is. Nightly news, which covers world politics, is completely different from what you would see in, say, just a regular tabloid newspaper or whatnot. And when I mean a tabloid newspaper, I'm talking like the Daily News. Those are tabloid newspapers. People don't even fucking realize that shit. Even within a company, say like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, their print publication is different from what you would see online, because online has to appeal to a different media, has to appeal to a different genre. You know, print publication as the Wall Street Journal, they appeal to like CEO level motherfuckers, rich hedge fund motherfuckers. Do you really think a 70-year-old hedge fund motherfucker is going to care about the internet? You think he's going to care about some popular guy on YouTube who makes 50 million posts? No, he doesn't give a shit. So the articles that go online, say the Wall Street Journal and whatnot, they have to appeal to people who might see something online. And who would online articles appeal to? Probably millennials to at least 50-year-olds. That's who's going to see these things. So yes, there is a slight difference in what you would see from New York Times to online Times, the Wall Street Journal to their online publications, and certainly different from Joe Schmo's fucking website, certainly different from Video Gamers Anonymous or What's Popular Today on YouTube. That's a completely separate genre. So when the Wall Street Journal is trying to branch out and cover other topics, of course, they're going to touch on certain things that cover on the internet. You made it to an online article. You made it to their fucking secondary edition, which appeals to low-level minded people. Not the hedge fund managers, not the CEOs. Mainstream media covers some of the most highest topics in the world. We're talking Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC News. That's mainstream media. Mainstream media is the highest level of journalism. What you got put in is the online portion. That's like the secondary shit. That's like their kids. And then on top of that, there are all these other websites that hop in and they want to jump on the story. Oh, PewDiePie did this wrong. PewDiePie did that wrong. He's a Nazi. He's a racist. He's this. That is not mainstream media. That is just Joe Schmo's fucking website popping up, writing an article on whatever the fuck he wants to write an article on, whether it's true or not. And then you point that out as, oh, this is mainstream media. These guys are writers. They're not journalists. Yeah, you're damn right they're writers. They're like fucking bloggers online. A journalist is somebody who has years of professional training. Someone who understands the tenets of professional journalism. A writer online. Anybody can write a fucking article online. That is not mainstream media. So while these guys want to portray this as mainstream media, the reality is this is still just online genre. It is basically secondary media that's attacking them. But they want to make it seem like it's the big brother that's going after them, which is another fucking wrong thing to say. Anyways, that does it for this question and answer session. I am thankful that this is over. Next week, I'm going to be getting back into my normal shit, including talking about Mass Effect Andromeda. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.